I'm Melissa, and we are joined today by Amonge Sinxoto, who is a young entrepreneur, co-founder of Blackboard Africa, and a social activist as well. As a young person herself, Amonge aims to empower and inspire other young people from all backgrounds. Hi, Amonge. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good. I'm having a good day so far.
Let's dive right into your work and what you do. So, a lot of people don't take young voices seriously, as you may know. Nevertheless, it seems that you're overcoming this problem with your highly commendable social entrepreneurship journey with Blackboard Africa. Can you talk about what your journey has been like? Where did it start? How did it happen? I mean, how did you do it all?
Yes. So Blackboard Africa started about 4 years ago now. And I started it with my cousin, and I think it was just a culmination of our experiences growing up in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I think we were really frustrated with the narrative that was being kind of told about us, that, we're the born free generation, we kind of have had everything handed to us after apartheid. And I think that wasn't really the case. We were still facing a lot of different issues around systematic racism, and kind of really struggling to find our identity in that context, particularly our African identity. So I think that was definitely something that was a problem. I think we weren't feeling very represented. I mean, this was before Black Panther and this and that. And I think, we didn't really have platforms, or just, we weren't really being celebrated in the media or all of that. So we just weren't seeing ourselves, and we weren't seeing ourselves being celebrated. So I think it was really frustrating trying to figure out where we fit and how we kind of should be telling our own stories. So I think that was super frustrating. And from that, we were like, okay, well, we need to have a platform, we need to have a space for us as young people to be able to talk with one another, to be able to really voice our frustrations, to voice, what we think the narrative around young Africans should be the ones to kind of drive that forward. So that's how Blackboard Africa started. It was an Instagram page, and then, it evolved into a website where people were writing in stories, in the form of poetry, in the form of photographs or videos. It's really was incredible to see, really how vast Africanness is. It's not one thing, and I think that's what we were really bringing to the forefront. So that was really incredible. And then I think we took it a bit of a step further. It's one thing to write and to show what you want the world to know Africa as, and it's a very different thing to be it. So, if I want the world to know that Africa are a generation of innovators, of leaders, of this and that, we need to be that. We need to take up those spaces. We need to be that. So that's what we focused on, making sure that young people specifically have access to leadership training and mentorship, so that they can take that forward and actually be the things that they want to see being shown about them. So that's kind of where we are now. We're running a bunch of different workshops and seminars and programs with people in different, sort of communities, also considering the reality that, young people are facing unemployment, poverty, so many other issues. So I think with our program, it's definitely centered around leadership, but, we're very cognizant of those other issues as well.
I want to talk about the process which takes you from social media, because you said you started Blackboard Africa on Instagram. So what was the sort of process from social media to social impact? Like, how do you make sure that your online activism has an offline impact as well?
Yeah, I think it definitely is something that a lot of people struggle with. Because, there's a lot of opportunities that social media allows. You can really connect with people from all over the world, and then really get a message across. So I think what the approach that we took was, using social media for awareness. And I think that's what it's incredible for, that it's a platform that, you can, raise awareness for a certain issue, but you can also educate. So I think that's how we approach social media, and then, transforming that into action that'll actually, have an effect on people's lives and the communities that we're aiming out to serve. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've tried to do a two-pronged approach in that sense, that, social media is our mouthpiece, but, you definitely have our programs and all of that being done on the ground, so that it's not just all talk. There's real action, there's real change, there's real impact behind it.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, especially in 2020, we're navigating quite strange times as we face a global pandemic. It's kind of crazy. And it's interesting how you've been able to sort of find that balance between online and offline as well, especially everything kind of moving online. So at the moment, because there have been so many restrictions that have been imposed on us, obviously it's put many things on hold, but clearly not Blackboard Africa. How are you able to keep your workshops and momentum going?
Yes, I mean, we had to adopt to, accommodate for the regulations and this and that. And, we're always trying to be safe. The safety of everybody involved is so super important. But specifically, we ran this program this year called Fan Her Flame, which is all around women's leadership, like really making sure that young women are feeling empowered and have the actual tools to lead in their own lives, whether it's, in school, whether it's in their different, community groups or organizations. So really making sure that they have the space and they have the tools to be able to put themselves in a better position. So we were very intentional about running this program with vulnerable and impoverished communities in South Africa. And when, you're kind of trying to run a program like this in those communities, online platforms aren't necessarily a viable option. The infrastructure is just not there. The network, the connectivity, the actual, having a device to connect to, those were the realities that we were faced with. So doing a contact session was kind of the only means that we had. So we had to continue. Obviously, we did smaller groups and, we split them up. But, we had to adjust. And also just looking at COVID times, everyone kind of really went into protective fight or flight. So, the support that they once had is no longer there. So we just felt it was super important to focus on these areas during this time. So that's what we had to do with our certain programs. But there's another program that we're running called Pass the Baton, which is like a masterclass podcast series. And that's going to be run entirely online. It's for young people who are in the space of social impact, who are trying to launch different projects and ventures, or who are already active, getting them in touch with people who really have experience and expertise to offer someone who's trying to build that brand. So there's different things, our different projects service different communities. So I think we really just try to adjust it to serve the different communities in the best way that we know how.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this notion of community and also accessibility is very, very important. And social media actually is very community based because, so for example, we have followers, likes, and shares, and that sort of translates in real life as well, I guess. So what would you say are the most important tools for the youth to have so that they can go out there and carry out their own activism about social issues that they care about?
Yes, no. So I'll just lean into the Fan Her Flame program, because that's something that, I think can be really translated. It's for girls, but it can be translated to young people in any space, really. The beginning is around you need to identify purpose. So, understanding what it is that you want to achieve, what it is that you want to contribute to this world. That's so important for you to be able to have clarity on where you need to go. You need to be able to, from that point, then have the leadership skills and have the leadership initiative to to take that forward. So, if my purpose is helping people, I need to have the leadership skills to help people in the environment that I'm already in. I also need to understand how to use my voice. If I am having trouble accessing certain things, I need to be able to tell people so that they can help me. Or if I actually have a dream, I want to, be a doctor and I need help, accessing funding for education or this and that. You need to be able to articulate your dreams, your passion, your ambitions, so that you can pull in the support that you need. You need to be able to tell that story. And then also just looking at the power of your voice, like I said, and planning. Obviously, you really need to be able to put your ideas and your thoughts down on paper, so that when you're asking for help, there's a concrete investment that people are leaning into. You need to make sure all your ducks are in a row, so that you're not disappointing yourself, but you're also not disappointing all these people. So I think those are 4 really key things that young people should be understanding at this stage.
Yeah, definitely being proactive is a key thing to, well, activism, it's in the name as well, in the word. And talking about 4 things, so I know you've talked a little bit about 4 core pillars. It's sort of your recipe that's guided you through your journey from social media to social impact with Blackboard Africa. Can you possibly break them down in more detail?
Looking at kind of what I've proposed as the 4 sort of landmarks to transforming social media into social impact, I think the most important thing is finding the cause. We don't all have to be working on the same thing. I think it's really important that we all are working towards solving different problems in whatever capacity that means. So if we're all working together, we're all working on different things, I think that's how we start to tackle bigger problems, because it's not going to change overnight. But if we all each take on a little burden, then we can really move forward in that sense. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is finding people. Firstly, and finding people who are going to be your internal team, your support structure, the people who are going to help you achieve what you really want to achieve, who are like-minded and who are going to be able to really connect with the vision that you're trying to push forward. And then second is finding people who care. In a broader sense, who are the people that you're affecting, who are the people that you're going to need to make sure that this happens. So you really do need people. Nothing was done by one person. One person didn't necessarily change the world. It's communities, it's group activities that really make that impact in the long run. And then it's about finding a solution. So yes, you know what the problem is. Yes, you have the people who are going to help you, but you've got to have a concrete idea of what the solution is that you want to implement. What's that thing that you really want to take forward and say, hey, okay, this is what I think I can do right now to start to alleviate this problem. And then tell people about it. Like I said, using social media for awareness is so impactful. Definitely play to that. A lot of generations did not have this opportunity, so take advantage of it. And then the last thing I think is just consistency. It is so key, especially in these times. Everything is fast paced, everything is happening. There's so many different things that our world is focused on, but at least if you are consistent and you are sort of persistent in your journey, I think people have really come to appreciate that, because everything is chip chop change, this and that. So at least if you're as an entity, as a project, as a this and that, you're consistent, I think really people appreciate that. People who are going to be funders, sponsors, even beneficiaries, they appreciate people actually consistently doing what they can to help. So consistency is so key as well.
Yes, I think, and this emphasis on people really is very important at the moment, especially with our society being very individualistic, and everyone's very going straight forward, doing their own thing, and Yeah, so it's great that there's people out there. I'm grateful for people out there who are like you and doing this, you know. And applying all of this, how do you see Blackboard Africa growing in the future?
Wow. So right now, I would really love to see, the programs that we've started to build be taken across the country. Definitely, we would love to have it, across the continent as well. The Fan Her Flame program, it's so important that young girls are getting access to these tools. So that would definitely what I would love to see. And then the Pass the Baton program, I think also I would really love for it to be really taken across the country and across the continent. But I think I would love for us to also have an element where we can, also give funding. So, you build your idea, you build your project, you build your initiative, and then here's some a little bit of support and resources so that you can start running. So I think, yeah, we really are. I mean, there's intention behind why we called ourselves Blackboard Africa. That's definitely one of our underlying objectives is, uniting the continent. So I would really love to see Blackboard Africa to a position where, we're also engaging other countries and, looking at, their problems and how we can collaborate. So I'm that's definitely where I see us going in the future, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I think it really clearly demonstrates that Blackboard Africa isn't just about, African lives, about being black, but also about everyone. It's not just about women, it's about men, it's about everything.
Definitely.
Yeah. And well, clearly mentorship is obviously a big part of your activism practice with all of your workshops. Do you have any tips for young people who would like to tackle a social issue to bring about societal change?
Definitely. I think doing research is so important. So really understanding the issue that you're trying to tackle, but also looking at, some people, you're not the first one to kind of identify the problem. Let me put it that way. There's definitely been people who have tried to do what they can. So look into those things, see what they did. Maybe, it's a matter of you plugging into what they're doing, or maybe identifying that, there's a bit of a gap and kind of innovating around that. So I think it really is, research is so important. And I think mentorship is, like you said, mentorship has been a big part of my life. So my advice is that I don't think we should have a linear idea of what mentorship means. It doesn't necessarily mean getting on a Zoom every week or having a coffee every other day. You can be mentored by people you've never even met. I learned so much from people. And like we said, social media, the internet, it's your friend. We have access to people. We have access to interviews. We have access to, their stories. So, there's definitely nuggets of wisdom that you can gain from different people. So you can be mentored by those people. So it's definitely a matter of identifying people who are really transformative in that sense, and pulling nuggets of wisdom from them, learning from their experiences as well. Finding mentors in unexpected places.
Yeah, and I think with that advice, that's a perfect place to leave off the interview so people can go out there and use that valuable advice. So thank you very much, Amonge, for joining us today, sharing your ideas and your very valuable advice and inspiring journey. And to everyone who is watching, you can keep up to date with Blackboard Africa on their website at blackboardafrica.com, and also on their social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well, especially Instagram, at _Africa. Also, don't forget to check out the rest of this 3-part series on activism, which will include conversations with a spoken word poet and an artist as well. And this is also part of a wider series of events put on by the British Museum Youth Collective. So be sure to keep an eye out for that as well. So thank you again, Amonge, for your precious time. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really incredible, and I hope that anybody watching can take a little bit away from my story and use it and apply it.